Is there any possibilities on the stamina changes you guys will make in the future? Well, buddy, you're in luck. You're in luck for this entire damn stream, my friend. It's gonna be me standing here. Well, occasionally standing at my desk, occasionally sitting, depending on the height I raise it to, and going through and spending all of my stamina and sitting down and watching the time go by with you. Nope. We are doing curve changes to stamina, health regen, blood regen, locked health regen, all that good stuff.
Exactly as advertised here. It's just sitting around watching timers. Well, he's watching the timer. And seeing different values for stamina regen for different dinosaurs over different periods of time with different, things going on. It sounds like stamina is going to be reworked. He will talk a little bit about that later on. But essentially, it'll actually start to matter now if you're spending all your stamina all the time and then try to lie down to regen it, if you're hungry, if you're full, all that sort of stuff. So it sounds like basically what I thought the Isle already had in it back when I first started is actually going to come into play here. So with that, let's just go right into it.
Oh yeah, everyone sees Trike. Look, I'll show Trike later. It's really not that far along. It's not the type of it's not the type you're thinking. So, does the Rex still make the editor explode? Only when you headbutt. If I try to headbutt with it, well, actually I shouldn't say that. Last I checked on Friday. I think I checked it on Friday. If not, definitely Thursday. Thursday. Headbutting explodes.
So, before we get into the stuff that was basically the entire stream, let's poke at this. Every now and again when he shows up the menus, it will of course show Trike as a playable character, and so people were asking about that. Trike does get shown near the end, as does Rex. And Trike, of course, as he says here, isn't very far along. I don't even know if I noticed any sounds when he was waddling around or anything like that. The turning is still pretty borked. It exists, but it's not quite as far along as I kind of figured. I thought it would be a little bit more because the last time we were aware, similar to how Utahraptors, the base animal, quote-unquote, for most of their creatures, I thought Trike was that for the quadrupeds, because they used to use Trike a lot as a base and like a test dummy thing, but I guess it's not quite the same anymore. I mean, Dibble's probably a little bit easier to manage, so maybe that they just swapped it over to Dibble, and maybe that's why Dibble has just so much more going on for it. Who knows? But anyway, yes, these two are both shown near the end. Not much to expect for Trike, so don't get your hopes up. T-Rex does indeed still crash the editor, which is how he ended the stream, basically, more or less.
So if you look, stamina regen started off at 3, and now it's at a little bit above 12. And so now it's going to drop down to 3 again. Yes, the stamina regen is going to be based on how long you're resting. So there's there's other things that'll go into it, but I'm just setting this up for now. So the general consensus here is that basically you can't just decide to, and you'll have to ignore the stamina regen for standing and trotting. I haven't set all that up, but the idea here is that when you rest, you don't get to just have a static number that goes up. Meaning that if your rest rate is at a, let's just say 5 stamina a second, which is excessive. 5 stamina a second, you have 1,000 stamina. 200 seconds, you're back to full. Well, we want to adjust basically how long your dinosaur can run for, and how long it needs to rest in order to recuperate that energy. So basically, if you just sprint, and sprint for as long as you can until you have no stamina left, and then just decide to rest, it's going to be a terrible time. Hold on a second. Let me. You have a job now. Anyway, the idea is that for the longer you rest, the more that you gain overall, alongside of just, hey, where was your stamina when you started to rest in the first place? So, if you are just going to expend all of your stamina constantly, if you get caught by a carnivore or another animal that's trying to kill you, you're pretty much going to lose. Which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. Manage your stamina. Instead of you guys just deciding to sprint for 8 years and then just going, it's fine, what's gonna happen? Most everything has more stamina now.
This is stuff I should have known better, but back when I very first started the Isle, I thought there were penalties for exhausting your dinosaur, and I'm talking this was back in Legacy. Like if you ran too much, your hunger would go down faster, or you'd take longer to recuperate, stuff like that. It didn't exist then, and it doesn't exist now, but it sounds like it will eventually. So there is that. I tend to be very reluctant to run when it comes to playing the Isle, and I often forget you can just run anywhere at any time. I used to play Rex and it shows, because Legacy Rex, back after the stamina changes, for those who haven't played it, you couldn't regen stamina while you were standing, you had to sit down and rest. And on top of that, it doesn't have very much stamina to begin with. Like, Rex had basically no stamina. You could sprint for a few seconds, that was it. And then you'd have to lie down and get it back. So you didn't want to run around all over the place. And Rex wasn't too fast anyway, but its trot was even slower, and etc, etc. Anyhow, so when I play Trudon and Cerato and stuff now, I tend to just trot everywhere. It's an old habit that I've never quite gotten out of, and then I'll realize, oh, yeah, I'm playing Trudon, I can actually run around now. And it always astounds me how much stamina I still have through all of that. But even then, I tend to not use it quite as often because I'm always worried, well, what if I need it during battle and stuff like that? Granted, as you guys have seen, generally I'll just perish. I'm usually a baby during those anyway, but, you know. I like to try to keep my stamina to either run away or to fight. I don't know how much stamina is taken during combat anymore. I haven't partaken in much combat. It doesn't help that there's no sandbox, and I don't reach adult too terribly often because I don't play too terribly often. I think the last creature I grew to an adult was probably a Utah, but yes, it was a Utah. I played relatively recently, right before the, well, that wasn't recently, that was like a year ago. Right before the Night Vision update, I played Utahraptor, and I got it to an adult because there was friggin' no one on the server, and I was very lucky and found some food. But before that, I think just Pteranodon for the most part. Pteranodon was super fun to play as, but unfortunately it's not very fun to watch. And I don't know how fun it is now because I know they've done a lot to Pteranodon, and I haven't played it in a very long time, so couldn't say. But anyway, yeah, this is something that I agree with. It should have been something that was already in. I thought it was when I first started the game. So it's nice to hear that it's finally gonna be, you know, implemented. Yeah, sounds good to me.
So in case you all were curious, the stamina regen here is much higher because I have food in my stomach. So there's a difference between you starving creatures and you people who actually know how to play the game and eat food, so, you know.
This is one I almost put in with the other batch of stamina stuff, but I wanted it on its own because, honestly, I really like this one. It was, again, something I kind of thought was already in the game. At the very start, for sure, back in Legacy, because, you know, I figured hunger was a lot more important to how things worked. Like, moving around too much, etc. would make you lose hunger more. If you had more hunger, you'd regenerate stuff better. All that stuff. I didn't quite understand that even if you're starving, well, I shouldn't say starving, but even if you're hungry, you still regen things at about the same time as far as I'm aware. So it sounds like it'll finally actually matter whether you're, you know, super hungry or quite full, all that fun stuff. This is going to be pretty painful when you're a baby and you start out with like no hunger with left beef, but you know, it is what it is, I suppose. It makes sense. I still wish they started babies with a little bit, well, I should say juvies. Juvies with more food, but whatever. Anyhow, this one was interesting, and I think this one's gonna be quite important to everyone, so, you know, I kind of wanted it all on its own. It's a good one, makes sense, even if it's gonna be a little bit painful for some. Especially if you're a carnivore, and you can't find anyone, and the AI isn't working, etc, etc. You know how it is.
The dying Cerato noise every time I go into editor is because if you look right here, there's a very dead Ceratosaurus. He dies every time I come in here. It's like Tom Cruise in Edge of Tomorrow. Or Legacy.
Now, while it's entirely possible the dinosaur changed between the last stream and this one, it came to my attention I might have mistaken a Dilophosaurus for a Ceratosaurus, and I'm like, how on earth did I manage to do that? I didn't go back to look because I'm pretty sure I deleted the prior footage I had of the other streams because space. But it's entirely possible I did an oopsie, so I'm gonna go put this one in. It's a Cerato in the background with Cerato sounds, which I swear I recognized this time around, but I didn't the last time around, but maybe I was extra brain dead that day. Maybe it was a Dillo instead of Cerato this time. Well, last time I should say. Who knows? But, yeah, just gonna slide that in there. It's a Cerato dying sound in the background. Just in case I messed it up the last time. I don't know. I don't remember if it for sure was a Dillo or Cerato the last time. But, whatever. It's there.
You know what it vaguely reminds me of? The people who are screaming and trying to clutch on the Legacy like it's some absolutely like undiscovered gem of games. It vaguely reminds me of all the people who were screaming when conventions were like, yeah, you need to shower, and if you stink at the door and we catch you, we're sending you away. You're not allowed in because you smell vile and you don't know what personal hygiene is. Legacy is a stench and a stain, and it needs to be removed. Legacy has much more dinos, and that's all we needed to know that you dictate quality is quantity, and that is just not a person I'm interested in engaging with. There's logic there that you don't get to, that you get to try and walk back. They're just gonna stick to that. More dinosaurs! Alright. Well. Okay.
This I mostly chose for the middle section where it was the whole Legacy's a stench and needs to be removed sort of thing, because in the Discord last I saw with, you know, Punch and Kissin', it was more of a back and forth. There were some wondering if maybe Legacy would just be a side branch forever sort of thing, because originally it was supposed to be deleted outright. And then they kind of seem to backpedal a little bit and go, well, maybe it'll just be a side branch and they'll just swap branches and it'll just be there. So I was unsure which way they were going. It might go back to, you know, being deleted now because of this. Granted, again, Dondi doesn't have the final total kill-all say in everything. A huge say. But it sounds like, you know, Kissin' and the others are technically able to go, yeah, that's stupid, we're not going to do that, sort of thing. I don't know, and I don't personally play on Legacy anymore, however, I know a lot of people do. And I can't fully blame them either. For me, it's not gameplay-wise, I would say, although I guess in some ways it could be, because, well, the diet system sometimes sucks, everything's broken in the recode version. It doesn't run as well. The map, I hate the map. The map is actually the main reason I would ever go back to play Legacy. I loved the aesthetic that the Legacy map had. I didn't really play Thenya very much. I think I only played it like once, and that was the last day I ever played Legacy properly. And I think oh wait, no, I used it for pictures. I think I used the Thenya map for pictures because of the lighting and sandbox mode. I don't think you could do the regular map in sandbox when you're hosting it. There was something weird going on because usually I'd never touch that map, but there was a reason I kept doing so for photos. I wouldn't say it was sandbox related, but anyway. The general aesthetic that the prior one had, it was more modern, more temperate, forested area. I really, really liked that. I miss that a lot. Whenever mods come back, I eagerly await maps like the old one. Because whether it was a good map design or not, as in, you know, core-wise, I wouldn't be able to tell you. Like, I enjoyed it. I didn't have any problems with the prior maps, but I'm sure there's probably things that other people didn't like, and there were holes in the map. I lost a full-grown T-Rex to a hole the size of my foot. I couldn't even see it. But that said, I liked the aesthetic of it, and I really do miss it, because all dinosaur games these days are always tropical, and frankly, I hate tropical environments so much. But that's just a personal nitpick of mine. It's nothing related to all this, but yeah, that's the only reason I really, really like Legacy. I haven't played it again since October of like 3 years ago. I think it was the night they did that patch to remove the hyper dinosaurs. But anyhow, well, quote unquote remove, I should say. Anyway, point is, yeah, I know a lot of people play that game mode. Can't blame them. I understand, yeah, the gameplay isn't there. It's not good. However, I can also understand why people go back to play it. The general aesthetic, the feeling, I guess you could say, especially for those who have been with the game a very long time, is nostalgic. I haven't been with the Isle as long as most here. I started just after they put Suko into the game, and I didn't play it all that much compared to most, but the time I did spend playing it, for whatever reason, is quite memorable. Like, the main menu sounds and quote-unquote music, I still love that to this day. Back when I did streams, I had that as my waiting screen because I just loved the sound of it. The Recode version doesn't hold a candle to it. It was very, very pleasant to listen to. And the general sound design of Legacy was also far superior. The way Distant Dinosaurs Calls sounded was very, very nice. I liked that a lot. That and Footsteps actually worked, but, you know, anyway. Yeah. Again, this isn't something I have any real, I guess the saying would be, this isn't something I have my hat in, but, I know a lot of people do. So, there you go.
No, Dibble doesn't have immediate violence. He's still got the thing. See? Yeah. He's fat and he just falls in the water. He's actually pretty quick though.
It's about getting to see more of Dibble, and, you know, he's coming up soon-ish TM, so it's nice to see more of him. However, this is also the point in which I noticed that the duckweed algae, whatever the heck you want to call it, the green stuff on the top of the water sticks to the dinosaur now. I did not notice that was in the game, or if it isn't in the game, that it is at least in the level editor thingy-majig here. I had no idea. Granted, whenever I'm playing, it's pitch black and I can't tell. I don't get to see my dino in the light 99% of the time, and I'm usually not going through the water because I'm playing a Troodon or a Cerato. However, yeah, it looks really nice. At least that portion of it. Completely not the point of this section, but that's what caught my eye. As I was watching the stream, I was like, huh, why does everything have green on its back for whatever reason? And it was at this point, and the Deinosuchus, which I don't think is shown here, but it exists, where each of the dinosaurs had green on it after exiting the water, and I'm like, huh, that's about time they did that. No idea if it's in there or if it's going to be ever, because again, I haven't played enough, and whenever I go through the water, it's pitch black outside, so I can't even see anyway. So that's my experience with the water so far. I'm sure people who are currently playing will be able to say a yay or nay whether it's in or not, because you know, they actually play the game. But personally, I haven't played since a while back. Quite a while. I need to. I just haven't done it yet. But, yeah. Not the point of this section, since this is all about Dibble. However, that's what caught my eye. So, there we go. Now, the rest of this, since I'm just gonna keep going on, is about Trike. He was shown off a little bit, but there was no relevant dialogue, so I just cut it out, because why not? I don't even think that Trike made any noises, so it's just quieted down. He just kind of waddled around, didn't do very much, but again, the Trike is in its base stage right now, as he said, so I imagine most of it just kinda isn't there right now. Nevertheless, it's nice to see it, and I'm sure Trike fans are very enthusiastic to see it, you know, starting to take shape. It's been a decent amount of time since we've seen it properly-ish, so yeah, there we go. And of course, we can't have Trike without the T-Rex, so let's show him next. Similarly to the Trike, there was no real relevant sounds going on. All you could hear was the footsteps. We don't need to hear footsteps. Muting sound because music going on in the background. Anyhow, this was the T-Rex. The headbutt apparently crashes the editor and did so again this time around. Still, it's worth, you know, showing off what's going on so far, see how it's taking shape and all that good stuff. There's a decent few of it cited for the T-Rex because, you know, iconic guy and all that. I'm curious to see how they'll handle him, what kind of new abilities he'll have, all that fun stuff, because it does look like they put a lot more into it this time around. Back in Legacy, as with just about all the dinosaurs, they didn't really have a whole lot. The animations were limited, there weren't very many attacks, minus, you know, biting. That's it. I think very, very, very far in the past, Utahraptor had a pounce, but that was removed later on, and, you know, it was basic. Didn't have anything going for it. So I'm curious to see now with all these fancy shiny new toys and whatnot, what they're gonna do with the T-Rex. They showed off a little bit of it the last time around, but beyond that we don't really know a whole lot. At least not that I've seen. Now, that's out of the way, let's go to thoughts on the stream. This one was okay-ish, kinda-ish. Most of the information was regarding the stamina stuff, and then the Legacy thing I just tossed in because I know a lot of people are very invested in what will happen to Legacy. But frankly, beyond that, it wasn't a whole lot shown. And he said it himself, this was a lot of boring stuff going on. He said he would maybe have something, you know, later in the week. But whether or not that'll actually happen, I don't know. He threatened to stream again today. Whether or not that happens, I don't know. We'll just have to see. There have been too many times where the devs will say, oh, we're gonna do something, and then they just don't. Especially when it comes to streams, because you just never know what's gonna happen in the workday, whether or not they'll feel like it, etc., all that fun stuff. This one was an incredibly boring stream, but it made it very easy to edit, so there's that. We got to see a little bit of the Trike, a little bit of the T-Rex, and that's probably it visual-wise. The rest was informational, since, again, he was just sort of chilling and testing stamina regen and stuff like that. So, yeah, not a whole lot. Overall, I'd put it as eh. It wasn't as agonizing as some have been to go through, but definitely wasn't, you know, super fascinating to watch either. But at the very least, it had some nuggets to absorb, since the stamina thing's gonna be a pretty big deal, you know. Stamina being core to just about anything you do in the game, be it running or attacking, yeah, I figured a lot of people would want to see that. So, there it is. Beyond that, not a whole lot going on. So, I think I'll be able to stop it there because I did a lot of rambling in the video itself, so I think I should be covered. So have a great day, night, whatever time it is you end up seeing this, or whenever it's posted. And goodbye!
Thank you.